Well, my pet skunk, had a blessed event. Yeah, 6 of the cutest little stinkers you ever saw. Yeah. Well, that's nice, I also had a visitor on the farm. A man came over and he handed me this here piece of paper I got. Oh, that, yeah. Well, you know what that is? No, I don't know. It's just my name is on it. I know that, yeah. Well, that is a subpoena. A court order. Court order, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there must be some mistake. I never ordered any court. Yeah.
Haven't you ever been served with a subpoena before?
No, them Italian dishes are too rich for me.
Well, this subpoena was served to you because Farmer Abercrombie is having legal trouble.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means, having legal trouble?
Well, yeah, something wrong with his legal. No.
He has no legal.
Well, there's his trouble right there.
No doubt. They want you in court as a character witness.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
They're lowering the requirements, ain't they?
Pretty low. I'll show you a little bit about how you should act in court. I don't want you to disgrace yourself.
Well, you know me.
That's why I'm telling you.
Yeah.
When the judge comes in, you stand up. Do you know why?
I got his seat.
No, you haven't. The judge is a very important man.
Well, forgive me.
Yes, all right.
Everything I say, they laugh at. It's just...
Well, now, I think we better rehearse this procedure a little bit. Now, we will assume that the judge comes in.
What's his name?
Judge.
Oh, yeah, Judge, yeah.
Get set for laughs with Bergen and McCarthy and Henry Aldrich. Hi there, this is Victor Ives, and this is the golden age of radio theater. Once again, we're going to turn back the clock to relive those golden moments of radio's yesteryear and bring you a couple of the greatest radio shows of all time. Our first offering this time is Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy from December 12th, 1943. A couple of special guest stars, Paulette Goddard, Lena Horne, and coming back from last time, Bert Lahr. And then later this hour, we'll join the Aldrich Family.
Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. Mortimer Snurd, Ray Noble and his orchestra, yours truly, Bill Goodwin, our celebrated guest, Paulette Goddard, star of Paramount's Standing Room Only, Bert Lahr of the theater and screen, and the talented singing star of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's Thousands Cheer, Lena Horne. Well, those of us who keep up with the latest in music will find a genuine collector's item in Lena Horne's rendition of the new and timely ballad, No Love, No Nothing.
No love, no nothing, no nothing for me. No love, no nothing, as long as baby must roam. I promised him I'd wait for him till even Hades froze. I'm lonesome, heaven knows, but what I say still goes. No love, no nothing, and that's a promise I'll keep. No fun with no one, I'm getting plenty of sleep. My heart's on strike, and though it's like an empty honeycomb, no love, no fun, nothing till my baby comes home. No love, no nothing, and that's a promise I'll keep. No fun with no one, I'm getting plenty of sleep. My heart's on strike, and though it's like an empty baby comes. No love, no fun, no nothing till my baby comes home.
You're listening to Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy on the Golden Age of Radio Theater. Don't go away. Now back to Edgar and Charlie.
Charlie.
Yes, Mr. Bergen?
Shush now, shush now. I was browsing in the library yesterday.
What were you doing in the library? Catching up on your sleep?
No. No, as a matter of fact, I was looking for a children's story.
Oh, aren't you a bit old for that sort of thing?
Well, I was looking for a story to tell you.
No.
Yes. You see, I realize, Charlie, I haven't told you a story for a long time now, have I?
No, you haven't, no. And don't think I don't appreciate it, too.
I'm going to tell you a story now.
No.
Yes, it's the story of Cinderella.
No. Do you think my tender ears are old enough for that racy stuff?
Oh. Yes, once upon a time, there were 3 sisters.
Andrew's sisters?
No.
King's sisters?
No.
Mills brothers?
No, certainly. No, there were 3 sisters. Of course, Cinderella was only half-sister.
Well, half a sister's better than none, I suppose.
Now, the other 2, of course, were mean and ugly, and Cinderella was so sweet and gentle and beautiful that the 2 sisters hated her.
They did?
Yes.
Well, I'm beginning to dislike her myself.
And, Charlie, do you know why they called her Cinderella?
Because it was her name?
No. Well, yes, in a way. But because most of the time she spent in the chimney corner, sitting among the cinders.
Well, there's no future in that sort of thing. Sitting in the cinders?
Yes.
What did she wear?
Well, it's...
Asbestos snuggies? Well, now, I think I know her old man, Smokey Joe. Well, now...
Yes, now, where was I?
You were laying an egg right here.
Yes. Now, if you don't mind, Charlie, I can get along without your funny remarks.
Since when?
All right. One night, Cinderella's sisters were invited to a ball given by the king. The poor girl cried as she watched them ride off in a coach with 4 horses.
In a coach with 4 horses?
Yes.
A little crowded, huh?
Well...
Probably sat on the horse's laps.
Yeah, probably did, yes. While Cinderella was bemoaning her fate, suddenly there came a clap of thunder.
Ooh.
Yes. And there before her stood a fairy godmother.
No. Yes. I bet that scared little old Cinderella.
Who?
Sarsaparilla?
No, not sarsaparilla.
Pensacola.
Oh, will you please? I'm afraid we're getting away from the story.
Yes, but not far enough.
Nevertheless, the fairy godmother asked her if she would like to go to the ball.
Yes.
And Cinderella answered,
Oh, my goodness, yes. Ooh.
yes.
Did she always gargle like that, or no?
Her voice was changing. Probably so. She waved her hand over Cinderella's head, and presto changeo.
What, rabbits?
No. No, she changed Cinderella's rags into beautiful garments.
How did she do that?
Well, of course, with her magic wand.
Magic wand?
Yes.
Obviously controlled by radar.
So that Cinderella could ride to the ball in style, her fairy godmother changed the pumpkin into a coach and the 4 mice into horses.
Well, that's one way of beating gas rationing, isn't it?
Yes. As Cinderella rode away, her fairy godmother warned her to be sure to get home by midnight.
Yeah.
That was very important.
Be home by midnight.
Yes, you have to do that.
Well, so what? It don't mean so much. Can't get a drink after 12 anyway.
Oh, now. Yes. Well, at the ball, Cinderella was so beautiful, the king's son immediately fell in love with her.
Fast worker, huh?
Yes, well, this prince, of course, was a very handsome man. He was tall and he was strong and had lots of wavy blonde hair. Thick, wavy blonde hair.
Don't torture yourself, What did the prince do?
Well, I walked up to her and I said, what? Well, I mean, I sort of lived the part.
Yes, well, you're killing it.
I mean, they danced together all evening, and when he whispered into her ear, why, she blushed prettily.
Oh, she blushed.
Yes.
Told her a snappy one.
No. No, the prince was probably paying her a very nice compliment.
Yeah?
Yes.
What'd he say?
Well, he might have said, Cinder, you're an eyeful, see?
Oh, for goodness sake.
I think that's rather good.
Yeah, I think it's a clinker.
You clinker, yes.
I might go further than that. I think it's a
Well, no, you don't. Suddenly the clock struck 12, the spell was broken, and Cinderella ran from the ballroom. And all that was found was a dainty glass slipper, which she dropped in her haste.
Heck of a place to drop a slipper.
The prince looked far and wide to find a fit to put the shoe.
Try galoshes.
To try. No.
Try another story.
All right, I
Ah, yes, there's the signal that calls together the second session of the Chase and Sanborn Coffee Clutch. Well, this evening we will discuss art. And the subject is, will the works of the old masters survive after this discussion? Yes. Seated around the clutch table are Professor Raymond Noble and your esteemed chairman, Dr. William Goodwin, that is I, our Mr. Axel Swenson, and our guest of honor, the poor man's Laffy Smith, Professor Bert Lahr.
I resent that. Heretofore address me with the respect due a student of the finer arts. Please refer to me as Bertram Pierre Lahr, Esquire.
I say, where did you study art?
Esquire.
Gentlemen, they would like to move.
Please, Mr. Swenson. Our guest has the floor. Now, Professor, will you tell the forum how you started your art career?
Well, I started at the tender age of 12, chiseling in marble. My first work was on the courthouse wall.
That's very interesting. What did you carve?
Bert loves Minnie. Wasn't I the little chiseler?
Yes, you certainly were.
Yeah. When I left reform school, I joined my uncle who dabbles in oil.
I say, really? Dabbles in oil?
Yes, he's Georgie Raff's barber.
Professor Lahr, will you be kind enough to exhibit some of the masterpieces that have made you famous?
That I will. But first leave me down my smock, my beret, and take my brushes in hand.
Oh, where's your palette?
In my throat. Where do you think? Now, members of the clutch, here's an Earl I painted in charcoal. It's my version of the Blue Boy.
But I say, Professor, it's blank. Where's the boy?
He blew.
Mr. Sherman, I would like to move.
Mr. Swenson, kindly do not monopolize the conversation.
Yes, Professor Lahr, I'd like your opinion. Don't you think we artists should get rid of futurism, cubism, and surrealism?
Yes, I do. And while we're at it, let's get rid of rheumatism. Yes, indeed. Yes, and here, fellow artists, here's a self-portrait which I etched in chalk.
Of course, it has an unusual technique, you know, but what's that line down the center of your face?
That isn't a line. That's a seam. I painted it with leg makeup.
What unusual work. What depth.
What composition. What perspective. What is it?
What is it? I'll have you clutchers know that I copy from no one, and vice versa. I don't use the Da Vinci method. I don't use the Lombardi method. And I don't use the Bacardi method. I use my own method.
Well, what do you call it?
The Lozzie method, no cracks.
Gentlemen, don't jump down my throat, but I would like to move.
Mr. Swenson, now please, will you let someone else have a chance at the floor?
Yes, that guy is making himself obnoxious.
Professor Lyle, I'm not criticizing your methods, you know, but I happen to be a disciple of Michelangelo. In fact, he inspired my own famous painting, The Vanishing Redskins.
I suppose it's Indians.
Oh, no, it's a man eating frankfurters, you see.
Oh, a fig for that. That's sycophantic. Give me realism. Why, I painted a bowl of fruit that looked so real, I had to tear it up.
Why?
2 of the apples got rotten.
Professor, tell me, did you ever do any pastels?
Did I ever do pastels? I've got one right here. It's called the Huntress. Or Pastel Packin' Mama.
I don't get it.
If you notice, gentlemen, the Huntress is stalking through the underbrush wearing a red hat.
But I say, what's she hunting for?
Her clothes.
I'm tired of hearing this punk's junk. You know, I would like to move it.
Mr. Swenson, for goodness sake, would you like to make a motion?
No, I would just like to move, but I can't find an apartment.
Please, Mr. Swenson. Now, Professor, what do you call this monstrosity over here?
That's Professor Noble.
No, the one on the easel.
Ah, gentlemen, that is my masterpiece. If you look carefully, you can see the background is done in split pea brown. And for the face, I combined a bourbon beige with a straight Scotch plaid, which gave me a hangover green.
Rather peculiar coloring for a face. Don't you have flesh?
Sure, what do you think holds me together?
Now, gentlemen, please, the question we must settle is, will the works of the old masters survive?
Say, that reminds me. I've got to go back to my attic and touch up my masterpieces.
Oh, what happened?
Well, the rain leaked through the roof and ruined all my best paintings.
Oh, Professor, that's horrible. Did the colors run?
Did they run? When I got up this morning, Barefoot Boy had Whistler's mother's shoes on. Thank you, gentlemen, and goodbye.
We'll return to Bergen and McCarthy and special guest stars Paulette Goddard, Lena Horne, and Bert Lahr after this. Now back to Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy.
Ah, if only I could express my thoughts in song. Well, we come now to...
Pardon me for interrupting you, Bill, but I'd like to...
Well, Paulette Goddard.
Oh, I hope I'm not intruding, but I've come here
now,
because...
don't tell me, Paulette. Let me think it was just to see little old me.
No, not even big old you. As a matter of fact, I came here about a dog.
A dog? Well, won't I do? Arr! Arr!
I said a dog.
Arr!
Well, not a wolf. Charlie has an ad in the paper, and he has a dog for sale, and I just adore dogs.
Well, Paulette, are you sure it was his ad? I don't think Charlie even has a dog.
Well, it has his address in the ad, and it says the name of the dog is Edgar.
A dog named Edgar?
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, Paulette, I haven't heard anything about it. Maybe Ray Noble can help you. Ray?
Yes, old chap, yeah.
Ray, do you know anything about this ad in the paper?
Ad? Let me see. Did I have an ad? I don't remember. Am I lost this time or just lonely?
No, it's an ad about a dog who's looking for a new home.
Oh, well, I have a dog, but I don't think he ran an ad. Why, he's very fond of me.
Well, maybe it's just puppy love.
Oh, no. Only this morning he jumped up and licked my face.
He did?
Oh, yes. Of course, I had been eating bacon. That helps, you know.
Well, there's a dog for sale named Edgar, and the ad gives Charlie's address.
Well, Paulette, I'm almost positive he doesn't have a dog.
Well, I'm going to ask Charlie anyway. Charlie. Come here, Charlie.
Oh. Paulette, my pet. Hello.
Hello, sugar. You know, I came here particularly to see you.
Well, naturally, sure.
No, you see, Charlie, I came here tonight about your ad.
What ad?
Well, you know, Edgar.
Edgar? Oh, him, yes.
Yes, you see, I'm terribly interested in him.
Oh, come now. You can do better than that.
Oh, but you don't understand. You don't understand how I feel about this. I really want a pet.
Oh, you little rascal, you. Oh, yes. Well, Edgar's fond of it, too, I think.
Oh, he's an affectionate rascal. Yeah. Well, tell me, what is he, a Great Dane?
No, he's just an ordinary Swede.
Well, I don't care what his breed is. I love them all.
Yeah?
I can just see him now, curled up at my feet in front of the fireplace.
Well, that's a good trick if he can do it. You may have to help him up.
Tell me, Charlie, how old is he?
Well, I see he's pushing, he's Squeal. He's no puppy, of course.
Oh, I hope he likes me.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, do people frighten him?
Oh, it's about 50-50, I think.
Well, I don't care. He sounds awfully cute.
Yeah.
Oh, but I hope that he doesn't keep shedding hair.
That's one thing you'll never have to learn.
Well, if he doesn't have much hair, I suppose he wears a sweater.
Yeah, he does at times. Mm-hmm. But confidentially, it doesn't do a thing for him, no.
Charlie, does he do tricks? Is he smart?
Well, he said a very funny thing the other day.
You mean he talks?
Well, certainly.
Well, like a human being?
Yeah. Well, almost, yeah.
Charlie, he's the strangest dog I've ever heard of.
Dog? Well, that's no way to talk about Mr. Bergen.
Well, I was talking about a dog.
You were?
That's pretty good, mistaking Bergen for a dog.
Wait till he hears about this. I'll have to call him. Oh, Fido.
Charlie.
Oh, Mr. Bergen.
Yes, Charlie, what is it?
You know, we mistook you for a dog. Now, it almost makes sense, too.
Is that so? Paulette, what's all this about, anyway?
Well, all I know, Edgar, is that somebody at your house advertised a dog for sale, but they didn't sign any name.
Oh, well, I don't believe I know anything about that.
Well, whoever put that ad in the paper must be the stupidest person in the world.
Did somebody call me?
Mortimer!
Oh, where is my little dog gone? Oh, gosh, you're pretty. Oh, yeah.
You're cute, and I know you. You're Mortimer Snurd.
Yeah, I look just like me, don't I?
Don't tell me, Mortimer, that you have that dog for sale.
Well, that's right.
Well, Mortimer, why in the world did you call it Edgar?
Well, because he's a Mexican hairless.
Well, Mortimer, aren't you going to say hello to Paulette Goddard?
Well, I don't think I know who she is.
Well, of course you know her.
Well, I don't know her.
Yes, of course you do.
I do?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes, you do. Think real hard.
No, don't help me.
Why, just last night you saw her in the movies.
Oh, did?
Yes.
Where were you sitting?
No. Don't be silly.
Honestly, Mortimer, I've never met anybody like you.
Oh, there you go. Well, go ahead, ask me, go ahead.
We'll ask you what?
Well, ask me how I can be so stupid, go ahead. This time I got an answer ready.
All right, I will. How can you be so stupid?
Well, I'll tell you, it's cause, oh, darn it. I forgot the answer. Boy, am I stupid.
From December 12th, 1943, we've presented the Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy Show on the Golden Age of Radio Theater. We continue now with the Aldrich Family from January 13th, 1949. In this episode, Henry's cousin Lionel visits the Aldrich family. He's a Canadian Mountie, but he doesn't look or act or sound the part.
Henry Aldrich. Coming, Mother.
All the happenings in a typical day of a teenage boy can never be diagrammed. There aren't enough zigzag lines for that. You simply start a day with a boy like Henry Aldrich, cross your fingers, and hope for the best. The scene opens in the school cafeteria. It is noontime.
Why don't you like Charlie Clark, Henry?
Oh, I like him, Nancy. I like him, but gee whiz, I thought we were going to have lunch alone.
Well, I didn't invite him. He just happened to ask who I was eating with, and I said, just Henry. And my goodness, I couldn't be rude and tell him he wasn't welcome.
I know, but gee whiz, he ruins my appetite.
Henry, you've already had 3 sandwiches.
Sure, but I'm forcing myself.
Here you are, Nancy. Here's your milk.
Oh, thank you, Charlie.
Say, Hank, would you mind moving your chair a little?
What for?
Well, so I can slip mine in next to Nancy's.
Now listen, Charlie Clark.
But I just wanted her to take a bite of this sandwich. It's made from a can of patty de foie gras my Uncle Horace sent us.
Patty what?
Foie gras, gee whiz.
French chopped liver, Henry.
Oh, foie gras. Boy, Charlie, do you speak a broken French?
Is that your Uncle Horace Clark who's in Congress?
Sure, and the mayor of a French village gave him 6 cans of the stuff as a token of how his whole country felt toward my uncle.
Gee, Nancy, did you ever hear a story like that in your life?
Story? Listen, Henry, have you ever heard of Lewis and Clark?
Who?
Lewis and Clark, who practically discovered the rest of America.
Listen, Charlie, you trying to make us believe that Clark was your relative, too?
Figure it out for yourself, Henry. Figure it out for yourself. Hey, Henry!
Oh, gee whiz, it's Willie.
Henry, you have to get me out of a spot.
Willie, can't you see I'm having lunch with Nancy?
But all you have to do is tell Mr. Bradley I'm the wrong one to speak in assembly.
Willie, you're speaking in assembly?
Nancy, I'm just as shocked as you are.
How did it happen?
I volunteered.
What?
What? How did I know they only paid outside speakers?
You expected to get paid?
Sure, and if you ask me, they've got no right to discriminate just because I'm a minor. So, Henry, wouldn't you be willing to point out to Mr. Bradley that every time I open my mouth, I make a fool of myself? What makes you think he doesn't know already?
Willie, I can't possibly talk to Mr. Bradley now.
But, Henry, if you really have to help Willie out, I don't mind finishing up with Charlie.
What?
Sure, run along.
Oh, no. How rude do you think I am?
But, Henry, I can't memorize.
I'm sorry, Willie.
Say, isn't Cynthia Harris related to Mr. Bradley?
I think so.
Hey, Cynthia!
Willie, I thought you hated the way she popped her gum.
I do, but right now I'm desperate. Hi, Cynthia, old kid.
My goodness, poor Willie.
Speaking of memorizing, did I ever tell you about my uncle who had a photographic memory?
Listen, Charlie, who are you kidding?
Kidding? Henry, did you ever hear of Socrates?
I suppose he was a Clark, too.
No, but my uncle memorized his complete works at one sitting.
Gee, Nancy, did you hear that?
Henry, if Charlie said he did, the least we can do is believe him.
Oh, that's okay, Nancy. He's just jealous.
Jealous? Listen, Charlie, it might interest you to know that there were just as many famous Aldriches in history as there were Clarks.
Oh, yeah?
If not famouser.
Name one.
One? Oh, that's okay. They're there.
You want to bet?
Bet?
Afraid?
How much, Charlie? How much?
$50.
50? Why not make it $1 million?
Okay.
Okay, what?
$1 million.
It's a deal. Shake.
Shake. You're a witness, Nancy, and I'll match my Uncle Horace against any Aldrich you can dig up.
Your Uncle Horace.
My Uncle Horace. Did you know he delivered one of the longest filibusters on record?
My goodness, he did.
Well, all I can say is it certainly runs in the family.
You're listening to the Aldrich Family on the Golden Age of Radio Theater. We'll continue with all the predicaments in just a moment. Now, back to the Aldrich Family.
Alice, where's Henry?
Why, he went out right after dinner, Sam.
Yes?
He said there was something in the library he wanted to look up before they closed.
He went to the library?
Yes, dear.
Henry?
Yes.
My son?
Yes, Sam. And incidentally, did I tell you I got a letter from your cousin Alan's boy, Lionel?
Really? How is he?
Fine, and doing very well in his job. And he asked for some pictures of us.
Father!
My goodness, Henry's back from the library fast.
He's probably getting used to it in small doses. In here, Henry.
Boy, Father, you'd think they certainly have a book that's more complete.
Who, dear?
The library, Mother, of famous people. The book they had didn't mention a single Aldrich.
Dear, we Aldriches live very quietly. Excuse me, Sam, I'm going to drop a line to Lionel.
Henry, what's this about famous Aldriches?
Well, gee whiz. Charlie Clark's been bragging about his darn family, and, Father, I have to find a famous Aldrich or I'll lose my bet.
Henry, what have I told you about betting?
Gee whiz, I couldn't admit in front of Nancy that our entire family was nondescript, could I?
Henry, our family's hardly that. Did you tell Charlie about your Uncle John?
He did something?
Your Uncle John won the milking championship of the entire state.
He did?
Hands down.
But, gee, Father, Charlie's Uncle Horace is in Congress. Weren't there any Aldriches who were more outstanding?
Why, of course, there were many.
There were, oh boy. Who, Father?
Well, there was,
Yeah?
Henry, it isn't important who your ancestors were, it's who you are.
That's just it. Who are we?
What?
Well, gee whiz, there isn't one of us worth talking about.
Let me tell you something, Henry. I don't know Nancy. For all I know, she may be a very nice girl. But if she's only interested in you because of your ancestors, then I'd look at her again.
I have, Father.
Beg your pardon?
And she's one of the prettiest girls in the whole school. And, Father, would you mind moving your feet so I could get at the encyclopedia?
Hey, Henry!
Boy, this is a fine time for Willie to show up.
Henry, if he's back selling second-hand Christmas cards, I'm not interested.
You know what, Henry? You know what? Cynthia Harris hasn't got a bit of influence with Mr. Bradley.
Willie, what's that on your tie?
Bubble gum, Mr. Aldrich. I just stood too close to Cynthia when she popped. So now I'm stuck with the charge of the Light Brigade.
The charge of the Light Brigade?
That's what I have to recite in assembly. Here, Henry, hold the book while I see how much of the first stanza I've memorized.
Willie, I can't. I'm going through Abatazo.
What?
Abatazo in the encyclopedia.
Willie, don't you think you'd be happier if you memorized at home?
I was doing that, but my father decided the acoustics were better over here.
You don't say.
Mr. Aldrich, would you hold the book?
Oh, Willie,
I'd be willing to pay you for it, Mr. Aldrich.
I don't need money that badly.
It'll just take a second here. The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league onward. How's that so far, Mr. Aldrich?
It's perfect.
It is? What comes next?
Oh, the Valley of Death.
Oh, boy, Father, I found one. Cyrus Aldrich, 1810 to 1875. A well-known general in the Civil War.
In the Civil War? Well.
Oh, boy, excuse me.
Where are you going, Henry?
To phone somebody.
Oh, in the Valley of what did you say, Mr. Aldrich?
Death.
Number, please.
Elm 424.
Elm
Hey,
424.
Willie, could you bring that encyclopedia in here, please?
But I'm tied up with your father.
I can spare you.
Hello?
Hello, Nancy. This is Henry.
Who? I can hardly hear you.
Henry Aldrich.
Oh, Henry, hold on a second while I see what I can do about all the noise here.
Henry, here's your encyclopedia.
Thanks, Willie. What else does it say about Cyrus Aldrich?
Cyrus Aldrich, 1810 to 1875. A well-known general in the Civil War who gained notoriety at the Battle of Crooker's Creek when he fell off his horse and missed the ferry.
What?
From then on, he was laughingly referred to as the general who missed the boat.
Oh, boy.
Henry, you really want to tell Nancy about that?
Hello.
Why, hello, Nancy.
I'd better go back. I left your father right in the middle of the Valley of Death.
I couldn't hear you. Charlie was playing the piano so loud.
Charlie was playing?
Yes, a lovely song his aunt wrote. What did you want to tell me, Henry?
Why, well, gee whiz, Nancy, when you come right down to it, it's not a person's... It's not who a person's ancestors were. It's who he is.
What?
Well, that is... if you can't take a person for a person, we certainly ought to look at each other again.
Well, my goodness, Henry Aldrich, I didn't make any bets about who the Aldriches were. You did.
Sure,
And I'm certainly sorry you consider me that shallow.
But-
Goodbye.
But, Nancy... Gee whiz.
Henry, dear, may I have that snapshot of you on your dresser?
My snapshot? Well, Mother, that's the one with my dog, Smoothie.
Dear, Smoothie ran away 3 years ago.
Sure, but suppose he comes back. Well, how'll he feel he finds out I gave away my only picture of him?
Suppose I ask Lionel to send it back.
Send it back? Is this Lionel reliable?
Henry, he's your own father's cousin's boy.
Mother, I've somehow lost confidence in our whole family.
Well, I think you can trust a man who works for the Royal Canadian Mounted.
The Royal Canadian Mounted?
Yes, dear.
Those guys in the red coats who always bring back their man even if they die first?
Mm-hmm.
And there's one in our family?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Wait till I get my hands on Charlie Clark.
What for?
What for, Mother? What for? Gee whiz, he owes me $1 million.
Agnes, wait. Hi, Nancy, going into England. Agnes, did you hear? Did you hear? Henry's cousin Lionel is coming to town. He is? The Aldrich got a telegram that his vacation's this week, and he's stopping by for a visit. Oh, boy. When's he coming? Today. Henry's meeting his train right after school. Oh, boy. Imagine having a guy in Centerville who practically captured nearly 6 criminals, dead or alive, all by himself. He did? I heard it from at least 3 different kids in school. My goodness. Oh, boy, I can't wait to see his horse. He's bringing it with him? They never go anywhere without their horses. Really? They practically sleep together. Really? I wonder how with Lionel's uniform when he comes to dinner at our house tomorrow night. He's coming to dinner? My sister Eloise has been dying to meet him. She hasn't had a date with a man in uniform since the war. Invite me, Nancy, invite me. Oh, I'd love to, Agnes, but frankly, if I invited all the kids who wanted to meet Lionel, I'd have to hire a banquet hall.
Hey, Agnes.
I have to go into class, Agnes. Nancy, are you sure you couldn't squeeze me in, providing I bring my own food? I'm sorry.
Agnes, would you hold this book for me?
What for?
Well, don't you realize Assembly's the day after tomorrow, and I haven't memorized a single line except half a league, half a league?
Well, you know what they say, kid. Half a league's better than none. Oh, boy.
Agnes, this is no time for jokes.
Look, Willie, you're a friend of Henry's. Can you fix it for me to meet his cousin?
Agnes, I've got problems of my own.
Oh, boy, is that Toby Smith down there? Maybe he'll speak to Henry. Hey, Toby, wait for me!
Agnes Lawson.
Oh, boy. Yes, Mr. Bradley?
Were you calling someone?
Why, yes, sir, Toby Smith.
I see. And where is he? At home?
You mean I was raising my boy?
Raising it is hardly an adequate description. Please remember, this is a school.
Yes, sir. I'll try not to lose my head in the future.
Now, please do. Now run along.
Yes, sir. It's been nice talking with you, Mr. Bradley.
The pleasure is all mine.
Mr. Bradley, could I have a word with you?
Certainly, Willie. What about?
Well, I'm reciting an assembly Friday, see?
You are?
Yes, sir.
Reciting?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's fine, Willie. I'm sure it'll be an assembly we'll remember for a long time.
Well, that's just it, Mr. Bradley. I'd like to be excused.
Excused?
Well, isn't it that I don't want to, but gee whiz, I have a head that nothing seems to stick into.
Yes?
So, couldn't we get someone else to take my place?
Who?
Why...
No other student is prepared, and we don't have the money for outside speakers.
Oh, boy!
I beg your pardon?
Oh, boy, why didn't I think of him before? Mr. Bradley, I've got just the person to take my place.
Dear, please stand back from the track.
Yes, Mother. Father, are you sure this is Lionel's train?
I believe it is. Be on the lookout for a man in a red jacket.
Sam, there's a red jacket.
Where?
Down at the end of the platform.
Alice, that's a porter.
Oh. Who's calling?
That little fat man, the derby.
Is he waving at us?
He can't be. I never saw him before in my life.
You're Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich, aren't you?
Why, yes.
I recognize you from your pictures. Hello. Cousin Sam, Cousin Alice. I'm Lionel. You?
You?
You are?
Yes. I guess this is Henry. I didn't recognize you without your dog.
Well, it's very nice to have you with us, Lionel.
Yes. When did you leave the mounted?
Oh, I haven't left them.
No.
Whatever gave you the idea I had?
But where's your uniform?
Henry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Henry, but I don't have one. They only come up to size 38, and, well, I'm a 44.
Oh, boy.
Besides, nobody in our office wears one.
Office? You work in an office?
Well, shall we be getting home, Sam? I imagine Lionel would like to wash up.
Yes, thanks, I would, Cousin Alice.
The car's parked over this way, Lionel.
Henry, aren't you coming?
Mother, I have to phone Nancy Adams first.
What for?
And call off that dinner date.
Henry Aldrich.
Mother, if Lionel's seen in public, I'll be the laughing stock of the whole school.
Hey, Henry, I must say you're not behaving at all well.
Henry, have I got wonderful news for you.
Willie, out of my way. I have to make a phone call.
But guess who I talked Mr. Bradley into letting take my place in assembly tomorrow?
Willie, I don't have time
But it's Lionel.
I don't care.
Who? Lionel. Mr. Bradley said it was the best idea I've... Henry? Henry, why are you staring at me like that? Henry? Mrs. Aldrich, come back. I think Henry's had an attack.
The Golden Age of Radio Theater is presenting the Aldrich Family.
Yes, getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Henry's second cousin, Lionel, of the Royal Canadian Mounted, has turned out to be a severe disappointment. And to make matters worse, Willie has volunteered Lionel's service as a speaker at Central High School. It is the day of assembly. The scene opens outside the school's main office.
Willie, you'll just have to go into Mr. Bradley's office here and volunteer to recite your poem again.
But, Henry...
I told you, if Lionel steps on that stage, well, I'll be the laughing stock of the entire school.
Henry, things aren't that bad.
But you should see him, Willie. He's short, he's fat, and he doesn't have a uniform. And he can't stay on a horse any better than General Cyrus Aldrich could.
Well,
and to top everything, do you know what he had for breakfast this morning?
What?
Cream puffs.
No kidding.
3 of them.
Well, Henry, things aren't completely hopeless. Maybe the assembly will be canceled.
Canceled?
Sure. Remember the one that got called off last month?
What about it?
Wasn't it because the bell somehow didn't ring?
Well?
Well?
Willie, are you suggesting...
Well, naturally not, but you happen to be in the janitor's room and somehow your elbow happened to hit the switch that worked the bells and they didn't happen to ring for assembly. Well,
Willie, for the last time, will you recite the charge of the Light Brigade?
You want a definite answer?
Yes.
No. Once I get past the valley of death, where am I?
Okay. Okay. If that's your attitude, I'll volunteer myself in place of Lionel.
You to do what?
Play my cello.
Henry, you can't.
Why not?
You're terrible.
Willie, I played it once before in assembly and nothing happened. Step aside.
Come in.
Well, good luck, Hen, old-timer.
Oh, it's you, Henry. Come in.
Yes, sir.
Henry, I've never seen the student body so excited about any assembly before.
Well, about that...
Will your cousin be in his uniform?
No, sir. He's a 44.
A what?
He doesn't have one.
Oh, it really doesn't matter. How would you like me to introduce him?
Well, Mr. Bradley, about that, he's going to be nervous, see, and he is a member of my own family, you might say, and...
Yes?
Well, how would you feel if I...
Yes?
Mr. Bradley, wouldn't you care to sit down before I suggest this?
Henry, it isn't necessary to explain.
It isn't?
No, if you think your cousin Lionel would feel more comfortable if you were to introduce him.
Introduce him?
Naturally, I wouldn't mind.
What?
Just be up on the stage before assembly begins, and we'll make the necessary arrangements.
But you see...
You know, Henry, for a moment I was afraid you were going to suggest that I allow you to play your cello again. Thank you very much. That was our own orchestra playing William Tell, a number which Miss Wheeler tells me they've been working on for some time. I'm sure we all found their performance quite spirited, especially in the brass section. Now, in connection with the assembly bell ringing 15 minutes early today, I regret to say it was no accident. I've just learned that 2 boys were seen running from the janitor's room immediately after it happened. And when we discover who they are, I can assure you they will be severely punished. I see our principal speaker hasn't arrived yet, so I'm sure we'll all enjoy hearing once again from the orchestra. Miss Wheeler?
Boy, Willie. Boy, you and your ideas.
Me? Was it my fault that the bells went on instead of off when you pulled the lever down?
Quiet, Willie. Step out here in the hall.
Henry!
Oh, boy, it's Nancy.
I've been looking all over for you, Henry. Do you know who's sitting in the back row?
I wish I
My
were.
sister, Eloise. She just couldn't wait to see what Lionel looks like.
Oh, boy.
And do you know what she bought in honor of his coming to dinner tomorrow? A pair of shoes with 6-inch heels.
Nancy, do you think she ought to get her hopes up that high? Oh, boy.
Who's that?
I'm sorry I'm late. I was all over town looking for some things I need for my talk.
Henry, have you heard from him yet?
Why, yes, Mr. Bradley. I've heard from him. Mr. Bradley, this is my cousin Lionel.
What?
What?
Of the Royal Canadian Mounted.
Oh, my goodness.
How do you do, sir?
Why, welcome to Central High. Henry, suppose you go out and introduce... Henry! Well, where do you suppose he disappeared to?
That you?
Yes, Father, it's I, all right.
Well, how did the assembly go?
How'd it go? It went, Father. As a matter of fact, I didn't even stay.
Oh?
And, Father, can I ask a big favor of you?
Favor?
And when I do, I want you to keep in mind that I intend to go to work and pay part of my tuition.
What tuition?
To Abbott City High.
Abbott City? What's wrong with Central High?
It's the kids, Father. I don't know. With them, gee whiz, it isn't who you are, it's who your ancestors were.
So you want to change?
Yes, sir. I think it'd be better all the way around.
Henry, don't you think you ought to be a little ashamed of yourself?
I, Father?
Here you are feeling sorry for yourself because Lionel isn't something you pretended that he was. But tell me the truth, Henry, have you ever met a nicer person than Lionel?
Why, no.
Of course you haven't. He's as pleasant, well-mannered, and charming a person as you'd ever want to meet. You should have every reason to be proud of him instead of feeling that you were betrayed.
Gee, Father. Gee, I didn't look at it that way.
I didn't think you did. Oh, please answer the phone, Henry.
Yes, Father. And you know what about Abbott City High?
What?
I'm sorry I mentioned it. Hello?
Hello, Henry. This is Nancy.
Oh.
And Henry...
Before you start, Nancy, let me tell you one thing. If you're expecting an apology, you're wasting your time.
An apology for what?
You're right. Boy, I've never met a more pleasant, a more... Gee whiz, who cares if he can't stay on a horse anyway?
Henry, I agree with you.
Yeah, what?
I think Lionel is divine, and so is my sister Eloise.
Well, gee whiz.
Even going down to buy a pair of flat-heeled shoes. That's how divine she thinks he is. And you should have heard the hand the kids gave Lionel.
They gave him a hand?
Yes, and Mr. Bradley said it was the most interesting assembly talk he ever heard.
Nancy, what did Lionel talk about?
His work with the Royal Canadian Mounted in the Scientific Crime Detection Bureau.
What?
Yes. He showed us how he always gets his man without even leaving his desk.
Well, I'll be darned.
And Charlie Clark certainly lost that bet.
Hey, Henry!
Excuse me, Nancy. Willie just walked in.
All right. Don't forget dinner tomorrow night.
Gee, I won't.
We're having saddle of lamb in Lionel's honor. Goodbye, Henry.
Goodbye, Nancy. Willie, I'm in here.
Boy, Henry, boy. Darn that Lionel anyhow.
Willie, you haven't heard. Lionel was a big success in assembly.
I know he was. I was there.
You were?
Sure, and he was such a big success. You know what he offered to do?
What?
Come back tomorrow and give a practical demonstration. He's going to track down a criminal by scientific method.
No kidding. Boy, I'd sure like to see that.
That's what you think. You know who he's tracking down?
No, who?
The two guys who rang the assembly bell.
What?
Boy, Henry, you certainly have one fine family.
And that's the Aldrich Family from January 13th, 1949, about Henry's cousin Lionel. In just a moment, we'll be back to talk about the Standard Hour. A listener from Oakland, California, wants us to tell about the Standard Hour. This hour is yours. The Standard Hour. That's how the show, sponsored by Standard Oil Company, opened each week. This was the first Pacific Network broadcast. It usually originated in San Francisco, although sometimes came from other West Coast points, and was fed to the NBC West Coast affiliates. The Standard School broadcast continued into the 1970s in one form or another. I remember as a kid growing up on the West Coast, they used to march us into the auditoriums for music appreciation classes, snap on the radio, and we would listen to John Grover introduce the Standard School broadcast, an outgrowth of the Standard Hour. Well, that's our hour. Time is up on the Golden Age of Radio Theater. Victor Ives speaking, thanking you for being with us and inviting you to join us next time we turn back the clock to relive those golden moments of radio's yesteryear and to bring you some of the greatest radio shows of all time.
For a copy of today's program, call 1-800-326-0296 and refer to show number 34. That number again is 1-800-326-0296. And remember to refer to show number 34.